Hello viewers, Attorney Buado here again. Welcome to Criminal Law Jurist. This is episode 2, Cruel and Unusual Punishment. Last time I asked you, would you rather be jailed in Cubao, EDSA, for 1 week, or stay in jail for 6 months as penalty for shoplifting? History tells us that the penalty for theft in the old world is cutting of hands or fingers, or putting one in stock and barrel, and for serious crimes, having a blade fall down one's neck while his head is waiting on a block. In some Middle East countries today, murderers are paraded in a park and suddenly, without notice or warning, a person's head will fall off. In China, they are hanged publicly. During martial era, a drug trafficker was shot in Luneta, which was televised to deter crimes. Those are forms of cruel or unusual punishment. The 1987 Constitution commanded Congress not to impose this kind of penalties, stating in Article 3, Section 19, excessive fines shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment inflicted. Neither shall the death penalty be imposed unless for compelling reasons involving heinous crimes, the Congress hereafter provides for it. Any death penalty already imposed shall be reduced to reclusion perpetua. But there is a Latin maxim that says, dura lex sed lex. The law may be harsh, but that is the law. How can we reconcile this maxim with the prohibition on cruel and unusual punishment? Dura lex sed lex is a doctrine that when the law is clear, there is no other recourse but to apply it, regardless of its perceived harshness. Courts cannot change the law because it is addressed to the wisdom of Congress. For example, in the case of People versus Sapitola, decided on February 10, 2016, Sapitola sold a plastic sachet of shabu worth 300 pesos. He was convicted and imposed the penalty of life imprisonment and fine of 500,000 pesos. Obviously, the penalty is highly disproportionate to the degree of violation. 300 peso value of less than 1 gram of shabu. But that is the law. Section 5 of Article 2 of RA 9165, the Dangerous Drugs Act, states that the penalty of life imprisonment to death and fine ranging from 500,000 to 1 million shall be imposed on drug traffickers regardless of the quantity and purity involved. So the question is this not a cruel punishment? There is no definite meaning given to what is cruel punishment. For example, in a malversation case involving taking of 70,000 pesos, accused public officer was imposed a maximum sentence of reclusion temporal or 20 years imprisonment. He objected because the penalty was cruel. The court disagreed and said, what is cruel and unusual is not fastened to the obsolete but may acquire meaning as public opinion becomes enlightened by humane justice and must draw its meaning from the evolving standards of decency that mark the progress of a maturing society. So here, dura lex was upheld. Contrast this to the decision in Corpus versus People, decided on April 29, 2014, where some justices opined that the revised penal code for estafa, malversation, theft, etc. were based on values 83 years old. So, the penalty is rather high. During that time, if one stole 10 pesos of ukay shorts, his penalty is arresto mayor to its full extent, or 6 months. If such value is 5 pesos but does not exceed 50 pesos, under paragraph 19 of Article 309, still, the court applied the prescribed harsh penalty. And because of that, Congress enacted RA 10951. Article 309, paragraph 8 now reads, arresto menor in its minimum period, which is 1 to 10 days, or a fine not exceeding 5,000 pesos, when the value of the thing stolen is not over 500 pesos, and the offender shall have acted under the impulse of hunger, poverty, or the difficulty of earning a livelihood for the support of himself or his family. Now that is a lower penalty, much lower, an implied admission that the old law, Article 309, was cruel. Of course, cutting body parts as penalty is cruel. Hence, Congress cannot enact a law that will punish rapists with removal of organ for reproduction. How about caging a shoplifter in a highway versus 6 months imprisonment? Although the culprit may want to be caged for 1 week, then undergo 6 months imprisonment, that is not allowed because that is unusual and inhuman. So there you are, another interesting topic. Next week, we will talk about the last two limitations on Congress to enact penal law: ex post facto law and Bill of Attainder.